Okay, so look, the reason number one, first things first. I want to thank you for agreeing to do this because there are so many people. Number one, you have the credentials. Two books on artificial intelligence. I read the first book. You know, I have a copy of your first book. We've talked about that a number of times. There you go. I don't know what, I had it on my desk last night. Don't know what happened to it between now and then, but I have read that book several times, cover to cover. Um, as a matter of fact, it kind of helped informed really a lot of what we're going to talk about today. All right. Number one, agreeing to do this because I don't know if you're, I'm sure you're aware of it, but people that like something do not like people detracting from that thing. So if you like chocolate ice cream, you don't like hearing people talk crap about chocolate ice cream.
I love being challenged.
Right. And one of the things that you and I share, that's why we're such good friends, is that I want to hear. Dude, you have no idea. I didn't sleep last night because I can't wait to have this discussion with you. And here's my position. Here's my position. The definition, I'm going to pull this back up. The definition, because I think AI is a hoax. And the definition of a hoax is making someone believe that something is something that it is absolutely not. Okay? So, a hoax, according to Webster's dictionary, a humorous or malicious deception. They recognize the plan as a hoax. That's an example. So, my position is that artificial intelligence is a hoax because people think it's something that it most certainly is not.
Okay, and I come from the position the three greatest finds in humankind are fire, right? It can save you, it can keep you warm, it can kill you, it can what we just saw in Los Angeles, right? It can
Sure.
do a lot of havoc. The atom bomb, it's held peace because of its mass destructive power, but it can also end civilization. I think AI is the third one because I think it has the potential to do things like cure disease, solve complex problems. But there is the dark side because, again, with great power comes great responsibility. So that's my position on how impactful the potential of AI is.
Yeah, I don't argue with fire, certainly. Fire is 100%. That's, goes without saying. Cook food, yeah, a lot of things, right? I don't disagree. I definitely disagree with the atom bomb. Splitting the
Well,
atom,
nuclear energy, right? It can create energy.
I got you. I don't know that. I think though that I would probably pick up, microscopes or being able to to magnify certain things above that because we wouldn't have modern medicine if we were not able to. Van Leeuwenhoek created the first lenses that allowed us to know that there were things that were unseen, much
But
smaller. So I would
great
add.
invention, but a microscope can't destroy people.
Okay, yes, I don't know that I would necessarily limit my greatest inventions to things that could destroy other people. But look, we're splitting hairs here. This is about AI. um, and I don't disagree that AI. I don't disagree that these large language models can't help you sift through uh, a great bit of information. But it's gigo. It's garbage in, garbage out. Let me give
I
you an
agree with
example.
that.
Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about for people that don't understand what I'm saying. So several years ago, two scientists at MIT were doing research using a large language model to come up with beneficial compounds to human beings. And on their main computer, they ran this algorithm and they were compiling different proteins. They were compiling different things that would be beneficial to humans. And in their code red and Mountain Dew stupor, with Cheeto covered fingers, they thought, you know what? We have an 8-year-old Apple laptop sitting here. Why not train the model to do the exact opposite? Just for fun and giggles, we'll train it to do the opposite. Let's see if it can come up with poisonous compounds to humans, specifically to humans. And that's what they did. And then they took off and went to, it was a Nobel adjacent. It wasn't a Nobel Prize. It was a Nobel adjacent, though. And they were competing for money. And they went on stage. They went on stage at this dinner. And they told everybody about these great compounds that they discover and what they did with their language model. And just as an aside, one of those knuckleheads admitted what they did. Just offhand, flippant remark. Oh, and by the way, we took an 8-year-old Mac, applied the same thing in reverse, and we came up with 1,800 compounds deadly poisonous to human beings. Specific. Before they left the stage, they were intelligence agencies had apprehended them. By the time they got back to MIT, they had found their labs had been ransacked and cleared out. And before they made it home, they stood in the Oval Office talking to the president. Now, do I think that these large language models can do horrific things and horrible things and also good things? Yes, but that's not what's being posited. That's not what we are saying. We're saying that that they are somehow intelligent, and they're not.
I don't know who's saying they're intelligent at this point. They're until we get to AGI or super intelligence, it's not intelligence, right? Right now, it's a lot of predictive modeling. That's where our intelligence is today. It's no different than, look, the way I can prove that to anybody on the predictive intelligence side, ask ChatGPT how many R's are in strawberry. It's going to tell you 2 every time. Now, the answer is wrong to us, but to the LLM, it's correct because it doesn't read each letter. It doesn't read every token. It doesn't read that. It reads chunks. So it sees the straw, 1 R. It sees the berry as 1 R. And it's predicting that that word is strawberry. So it's not thinking. It's not saying it's intelligent at this point. It's still doing a predictive model.
Okay, I that's exactly my point. I mean, that is not, look, if I say to you, hey, take a ride, buy my car, it's the fastest car on the planet. It goes light speed. You get in that car, you take it to the salt flats, it goes 130 miles an hour, which is, nothing compared to, and you look at me and go, hey, wait a minute. You sold me a car that will actually leave the planet, will go light speed. That I've hoaxed you. Or let me give you a better example of this. If I say to you, or I got a box, and in this box is I couldn't bring Bigfoot out of the woods. He's much too big, but I killed him. And in this box is the hide of Bigfoot. And you go, oh crap, dude, I want to see and it smells god awful. And you go, oh snap, I've never seen Bigfoot before. I want to see what the hide of Bigfoot looks like. You open the box and it's nothing more than a bear hide. It's in the name, Harrison. Artificial intelligence is in the name. I mean, you've named it, not you, but they've
what is
named
artificial intelligence? The definition came in the 50s, right? It's just that it can basically trick a human into thinking that it's human, right? That I can interact with something and it feels very human. I forgive me the name, Turing, I think
Turing
maybe
test. Yeah,
in the
Turing
50s.
test. Mm-hmm.
So that's the definition is not that it's now we get to AGI, we get to super intelligence, much different game. We're not there yet, and nobody's saying we're there yet. We think maybe we might be there in the depths of the top secret stuff, but as far as what we're being sold out here,
Google, look, many times during this, the last 5 years, and the guy was on Joe Rogan. He said that he had a conversation with Google's AI, and it, passed the Turing test. I mean, we do have people that are saying that we are there. That's my problem with this, is because of the puffery, because of people thinking what they're getting is so much more than what the actual reality of what it is.
But when you say that, what people are getting, ChatGPT is $20 a month. I don't think anybody really believes they're getting a super intelligent third world, third realm creature for $20 a month.
So you're saying your position is just because that penny candy, it could be any price, but just because that penny candy, it was only a penny, Wayne, it only cost you a penny. Well, good. I only had 5 pennies. You've taken one of my penny. And by the way, in order to get that penny, you've used a tremendous amount of power, you've used a tremendous amount of resources, and you've destroyed part of the planet irreparably to get to that. And again, part of the problem here, you've got AI that takes tremendous amount of electricity, tremendous amount of resources, power, land in order to do these things, right? You're using less than 1% of the totality of human knowledge to present your AI, whatever it actually is. It's not AI. And that's part of my problem, is this puffery, this making people believe that you have something not even close to yet.
I see, and I don't understand your position because at least in my world, nobody thinks we're at AGI yet. Um, AI in itself, again, predictive modeling, doing things like tasks. We're entering the world of AI agents now in 2025, right? We're going to have these AI agents going out and performing tasks for us while we're asleep. AI is now integrated in, even if I didn't work in this space and I just did podcasting and video production, it's integrated in every tool that I use. You see it now, it's kind of ruined it, but you see how it's used in Google now. It'll get better and they'll fix it as it goes. I always tell people, look, AI is as worse as it's ever going to be today. It gets a little bit better every single day. And then as we hit the world of synthetic data, that's where things start to get interesting. Right. But again, I guess I just don't buy I don't know anybody that believes at this point, at least publicly, that we've reached AGI, other than maybe in some secret lab in OpenAI or the military or whatever at this point.
Well,
But I will say this, we have to keep moving because how are you going to regulate something that the entire world is striving for, is working towards, and whoever wins has a huge advantage? How do you regulate and slow that down? Do you want China to reach AGI before us? Do you want Russia, North Korea, anybody else to have that power before we have it?
so you're saying we should poison our environment before China gets a chance to poison the environment, before Russia has a
What
chance to
don't
poison?
we? When you say poison the environment,
I'll elaborate. I'll tell you exactly what I mean. So look,
we do have an energy problem. I'll absolutely agree with you there.
well, we also have more than that. We also have a high persuasion problem. The people that are in control of these large language models, they dictate what information is put into the model to begin with. So you have now control over what possible results can come out of the other end. That's a massive issue. So imagine yourself, let's use China as an example. China is moving as quickly as they can so they can control their population. Other countries are purchasing China's LLMs over US LLMs because China is gone further in that population, that being able to control the mind way more than the US. And hopefully it will always be that way. High persuasion is a massive problem. having a set of beliefs and being constantly bombarded, and you said it, it is embedding itself into every single thing that you use, whether it's your phone, whether it's your television, the programming on those, the things that you read. This is a bug, not a feature. This is something that is really more people need to be concerned about, because your very opinion about things is being artificially manipulated because of these erroneous or manipulative programs. You
But it
can't
always has been, and it always will be. There's
again,
no stopping. That's why my next
no
book,
reason. There's
that's
no
why my next
reason.
book is focused on self-awareness, critical thinking, human-centered approach to AI. I don't see a lot of my peers talking about that the way that I am. I think that's my differentiator when I teach people, when I work with people. It's a human-centered approach. You have to have self-awareness, you have to have critical thinking, you have to be able to ask better questions.
Yeah.
Because if you
Well,
don't, yes, just like social media has manipulated us before that, the three channels we watched at night for the news manipulated us. Before that, a king would manipulate us, and so on. We've always been manipulated, and whoever has control of the power, the technology, you just saw Mark Zuckerberg, right? All of a sudden, Trump
hey, look,
wins, and
you're
he's
starting to
like,
make my own argument. I need you to stop doing that, because that was I was going to bring that up. Go
free
ahead.
speech, right? He's a big free speecher now. If Biden would have won, he would have doubled down on censorship. So that's why we have to be vigilant, being human centered, focusing on what's going on. Here's the problem. Look, I agree with a certain percentage of what you're saying. Well, we're not going to stop it. It's here. And 40% of this workforce is going to become irrelevant in 3 to 5 years. If we don't train people how to use it, bring their wisdom, their expertise to the table to leverage this technology to benefit them, they're going to be begging for universal basic income just to survive. I want to be part of making that number less, or creating new opportunities through this technology of new jobs and new industries and new things that are going on. I can't stop it. The genie is out of the bottle.
Yeah, what I hear you saying is you and I were in a bus. All of us are in a bus together, and we can't stop that bus. That bus is
Yeah.
heading for a cliff. We won't get to the cliff unless if we stop it. If we stop this bus, Wayne, we're going to not be able to get to the cliff that we're all going to travel over.
But
And
isn't
I don't.
humanity always headed towards a cliff? I mean, we've got wars, we kill each other over land, we hate
Yeah,
each other because of
100%.
skin color.
Listen, Harrison, 100%. But we've always been able to stop ourselves. And the people that stop us are the guys like me who put up our hands and go, hey, there's a brake next to the accelerator. Use it. You put it in a lower gear, Skippy. We're heading for a cliff, and we don't. Give you an example of this. We've done this before in history. You're right about that. And number one, let me congratulate you again. The reason that I have not had this conversation prior to this, you and I having this conversation, is you're exactly right. The people that are involved in artificial intelligence, the study of LLMs, these large language models, they refuse to have the conversation. They absolutely resent anyone telling them that their emperor has no clothes. So, again, let me thank you publicly for even having this conversation with me. But back to what I was saying, you just because you are heading to a cliff doesn't mean that you have to go over that cliff, that you have to just put it in another gear and press on the accelerator. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In history, there was a library at Alexandria, and the entirety of human knowledge supposedly was amalgamated there. It was all there. That's where it was. Now, you had offshoots, little pockets of information other places, but really the powers that be at the time really tried to pile all of the human knowledge in that one spot, and it burned to the ground. And at put us in a position where we didn't know much of anything. And that centralization of knowledge is really what AI is about right now. Right now, you're seeing people sifting through what we know, what opinions we don't like. We're excluding those things from our language models, right? And we're only allowing in. Mark Zuckerberg said it very, very well on Joe Rogan. I'm glad that you brought that up. We are curating the knowledge, human knowledge, and that is never, ever a good thing. Freedom of
Okay,
speech, freedom of thought, that's what's going to save us from this.
but you're talking about large language models that are out there right now, like say ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever that is, right?
Huh?
That's not really the future. The future is smaller language models. I have my own language model that I've trained with my own product knowledge, and it helps me be more productive. It helps me be more accurate. So once you get outside of the World Wide Web and all of the dirt and Jerry Springer type stuff that's out there, the technology itself can still be used at a smaller level or at the level of a corporation or whatever in house, and everything that you're saying is irrelevant within that framework.
No, I just totally disagree with that, because just like peer review in science is the worst thing to ever happen to science,
But it's my data.
again, I totally agree with that. Okay. And that's what the problem is. Your data, you are allowing no additional thought into that data. So you're only operating from one narrow view of the things you already currently know. And there's
But
no,
I don't need other data for my finances, for my financial projections, for my medical data that's sitting inside of my private small language model.
yeah, but
There's no
is
influence
that the
there.
advice that you would give your teenage son who tells you he doesn't need to continue his education? No.
I'm not saying that.
No, of course not. It would be horrible. What I'm saying is that even though you have this small set of data, there's always new discoveries. There's always new things that you can learn. And if you're preventing that from inserting itself, or from you inserting it into the knowledge that you've collected, you are going to lose. That's
But
what we
that's where
see.
human intent comes in. That's where the discernment comes in, that I'm going to let into my language model what benefits whatever it is that I'm working on.
But
Right.
that's not
I
what we're
mean,
seeing. But that's not what we're seeing happening. And my whole issue with the way we're administering this is, you've got the vast majority of people who will step into a Wago, for example, and let it drive them wherever they want to go. And much like a skydiver assumes that when they pull the ripcord, that parachute is going to make them arrive safely to Earth, those individuals that are in the back of that car assume that we've done enough research that every possible scenario in traffic is going to allow them to go through that algorithm and make them arrive safely wherever it is they want to go. And I'm saying that that is a very bad thing to assume. It is you wouldn't, right now, you certainly wouldn't want your child to be diagnosed by an AI. You wouldn't want your,
I
um,
wouldn't.
of course not.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, because if you've studied the medical industry at all over the last decade, they're not doing well. Big pharma controls everything. I mean, my wife's been through 3 surgeries this year, and it's been a complete cluster, start to finish. I'm telling you, these doctors
And
today,
you
these some of
think
these
you
nurses
think that it'll
today,
get better. You think that it'll get better once we've excluded all of the, we've gotten to a model where we've been able to exclude all of the information that the AMA doesn't want in that
no, here's a
people
prime
researching.
example of how I think AI agents will benefit, say, the medical industry.
Mm.
Instead of a nurse coming, because my wife's a nurse, so she knows the industry. She's very busy, right? They're definitely overworked and underpaid in their industry.
Agreed.
Instead of coming in and telling you how to take all these medications, yada, 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 here's how you go home and do all this stuff. An AI agent could do that, right? Come on your screen, the avatar could tell you, here's the medications you're taking, here's your schedule for taking them, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. And oh, by the way, that agent can now go home with you, check in on you, see how you're doing, and all that data feeds back to the nurse or whoever's responsible, or the doctor, for that care. Now you've got all this data that's following that person around so they receive a higher quality of care.
Well, I think that that's an extension of the pamphlet. So when I go and fill a prescription, they hand me a pamphlet of information that I may toss in the garbage or whatever. What you've described to me is an extension of that. You've got some avatar that's sitting there going, okay, Wayne, let's be very clear with this medication. You need to take it with water. You need to take it 15 minutes before you eat. Look, I have no problem with any of that. That is not, I know exactly what that is. It's not purporting to say, well, here, Wayne, we're diagnosing what your issue is, your heart palpitations, your lack of appetite. That it's a heart attack and we're going to treat you for a heart attack, when in reality I had some indigestion and it gave me a very bad medical outcome because you performed open heart surgery on me when that's not what I needed. Or
because add to that, you're going to have an Aura ring, you're going to have your Apple Watch, you're going to have your own private health agent that's keeping track of those vital signs, those issues, the potential heart attack, the whatever it is. It's going to speak to your nurse agent, that's going to speak to your doctor, and you're going to have a full staff of agents now reporting on your health.
And part of my problem, again, I'm glad that you're bringing this up. This is fucking awesome. Part of my problem with that is we're already dumping so much information into these things about ourselves. Part of the reason that I closed Melody Clouds, I don't know if you know this, but part of the reason the main reason that I closed Melody Clouds was because as my subscription base grew, I realized that Apple and the Google Android store was requiring more and more information from those customers that I was not.
Rush, right? Info is the gold rush.
Yeah. And I was not comfortable making that decision or allowing my customers to make that decision to them. So I shut the whole thing down. It was a nice living. I decided I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not giving you the option. I feel so strongly about protecting your personal information. I shut down
the gone. The age of privacy is over. I'm not happy about it, but it's over.
For some people, you are 100%. And by the way, it's not all bad. You could make the argument that by using these algorithms, I haven't seen a feminine hygiene commercial in probably 10 years because of the information that I've shared with the advertisers, and they know that I don't need that product, and so they don't show me their advertising. Listen, I've been in this game for a very long time. I create lookalike audiences all the time, and that's how you do that, is by collecting that data. But we've overstepped our bounds on that, and we've started to weaponize those algorithms, and we've started to weaponize that information against the consumer. And
so give me an example of that.
Oh, perfect example. Okay, you know that I have a daughter that lives in Iowa. And let's say that you and I were sitting in the same room and we both went on to look for airfare. We're in Rancho Cucamonga. Before, Priceline or Kayak or Expedia would work to give me the very best airfare for that flight for me to go see my kid. Now it works against me. It can tell he's got a child in Iowa. I'm going to raise the price of this airline or these flights across the board 20%, and let's see how bad he wants to see this kid. Whereas you, if they don't have that information, they're going to try to entice you to fly to Des Moines because they have absolutely no idea why you want to go to Des Moines. So if they don't know, they're going to offer you the best price. Let's go one step further. Let's go something really shitty, really nefarious. So let's say that they know that I just had a child. I'm a mother, and I just had a child, and I did a search on Google for fever. I feel that my baby is a little warm. I'm a new mother, and this algorithm knows that. With a click of the button, the minute that I do that search, every pharmacy in my area raises their price of ibuprofen. And I end up paying 10 to 15% more. It's called pricing optimization. Let me go one better than that. Let's say that you and I go to LA. We're going to go help the fire victims. Okay? They can use, let's say that we need to get from point A to point B. We're going to take an Uber and we're going to get from point A to point B because we flew in to help and we need to get right. It can monitor weather patterns and find out when to charge us more for that same Uber ride and when to charge us less. If you and I are going to walk 2 blocks, it knows, hey, it's going to rain in 15 minutes. So everybody that picks this Uber is going to be willing to pay more, 40% more. And these are things that are already happening right now because of.
But 2 things on that. So 1, that already happens with algorithms, not with AI. And 2, it's capitalism. So the only other option you have, and I know you're not a fan of this, but apparently maybe you're becoming a fan, more regulation. You want price fixing? You want the government to come in and price fix?
No, what I would like is for governments to come in and not allow predatory pricing. There's a difference between fixing the price and predatory pricing.
So you want the government to tell corporations what they can charge?
What I want is for the government to say, hey,
come on now.
What I want is for the government to say, you cannot take advantage of your consumers and charge them more when they most. So you're telling me that you consider it capitalism when a hurricane blows through North Carolina. I want to record this, by the way. Remember, you're recording. Hurricane blows through, and you think it's fine to jack up the price of toilet paper and water to the people of South or North Carolina right after their hurricane has come through.
So, of course, I don't agree with that. But let me put this in perspective on why you can't fix that issue. The Palisades just burned down, yes?
Yep.
There were people that were getting ready to lease property for $18,000 a month, because these are very wealthy people, right? So they pay 18 grand a month to live in some of the bigger houses.
Actually, a lot of those areas are pretty cheap.
The day after the fire, all those rents went to 30,000. Now online, do you think anybody cared? Nah, they're millionaires. They deserve every bit. The number of zeros don't matter. Price gouging is price gouging. Mm-hmm. Right? So you have half the population that would say, yes, what's going on in North Carolina is wrong, while cheering what's going on over there. So how do you fix a problem like that when at the end of the day, we're all hypocrites? We're all hypocrites. No, nobody should price gouge in a scenario that's apocalyptic like that. And I agree with you. I would not want to pay more based on my data, but that we live in a capitalist society, capitalism. I don't know how you stop that. I'm a small government guy without saying I need the government to come in and price fix that.
Well, what you can do is place a limit on what information, you place a limit on what information that people are handing over and how that information is being used. It's very simple.
So far, everything we've talked about can all be accomplished with algorithms. Your position was AI is some kind of Ponzi scheme, and I don't feel that you've presented that argument yet.
I mean, I did that with the first thing out of here. I mean, I disagree with that. I think that the Ponzi scheme basically is, when someone believes that this is something that it's not. AI is not what it is being presented. It is not solving it's creating far more problems than it is solving. So you may have your eyes closed to the issues that it creates. You may have your opinion that it's fine. Some of the issues are fine. But one thing that we cannot get around is that the public, what it's being proposed is not what people are getting. And that's the definition that I gave at the beginning. It's a
But the
hoax.
issues you're giving me are human conditions, not technology conditions.
No, listen, Harrison, let me reiterate. When you start your large language model, when you present a data pool and you can use the entirety of human information, every, let's say,
Yes.
every letter of current human knowledge was put into your model, your algorithm. Okay. Because it's human, because it came from human beings, it is already a cesspool. If
Yes.
you
You'll never
just,
fix that.
you ever, and because they've yet to come to an algorithm that actually creates new thought. It's basically just a shell game with information we already know. No model has come up with original material to date. And
Correct.
okay, and yet it is presented as some type of intelligence. Intelligence means that you are capable of adding additional information to the pool.
No, that's the I see. I don't in my world. Nobody thinks that. That's the goal, but nobody thinks that's happening yet. But that's the goal.
Again, I want you to step outside of that academic world. I need you to think about this as a normal who you're selling to. Okay, sure, most doctors do not believe that jars of uh, snake oil had any work. It's that doesn't matter. What matters is you're selling. Who are you selling this to, and what do they think this is?
All
So
they
if you're
want is for their job to be done faster and easier. All a corporation wants to do is save money.
no, they
That's
want to be
it.
safe. They want to be safe. They don't want
Well,
to
that
step
goes
in.
with yeah, that's normal. Cybersecurity and all the things that go with that.
Because if I created a pill and I told you this pill solved 99 of the problems that people suffer from today, and come to find out it was nothing more than ibuprofen, okay, that would be, I would get thrown in the prison. I would get thrown in prison for that.
In the comments, I would love to hear. Does anybody think at
Oh,
this point that
100%.
I
100%.
don't
That is a very good idea.
I
We'll leave this to a vote. Because that works so well when you're talking about things scientifically. But you're that's not actually, it's not a bad idea. The public perception and the news that this uh, uh, AI or that AI had intelligent conversation and talked about destroying humans, and this is how I would destroy humans. These things happen all the time. They are presented to us as if we are far beyond artificial intelligence that has surpassed human intelligence. I've got 3 articles on my computer right now talking about that. So I guess I don't have any reason to doubt you. I don't think you are aware of what the public perceives AI to be. It,
I spoke to at least 1,200 people last year in workshops and
yes, all of those people are academic, and all of those people
no. These
at
are business
least are
owners,
in.
these are executives, these are high school students.
Yes,
I have a great data set that I've sat in front of.
with
And
an interest. I'm
you have
sorry.
4 types of people. You have the people that think AI is rainbows and unicorns, right? It's going to solve all the world's problems. Everything's going to be peachy and in some utopia. You've got what I call the Terminator set, right? It's the end of the world. We're all going to die. It's the Antichrist. It's the apocalypse. It's all that.
Right.
You got the third set of people who look, they just have their head down. Man, what do you mean? I had to learn websites. mobile apps, cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs. Now I got to learn something new. Like I'm just trying to spend time with my kids, work hard, pay the mortgage. And I mean, I just don't want to deal with all that. Then you have the fourth set, which is just heck exhausted, right? They're just like, dude, I'm doing too much already. And now you want me to do something new? And then you have the fifth set, which is kind of where I always sit, is a blend of all of those things. I'm 54 years old, right? Keeping up with the pace of AI right now it's hard, and I'm in it every single day. So I can't imagine just a person working 9 to 5 and, like I said, spending time with their kids. How do they keep up with everything? It's exhausting. It's hard. But here's why I have a passion to train 1 million people this year. We are on a hockey stick. This world, whether you like it or not, in the next 3 to 5 years, 5 years, definitely 10 years from now, you're going to go out. You're not even going to notice. It's not even going to look anything like what it looks today. That's how rapidly this is going to change. And people are not ready for it. They're not. I want to make sure they are. I don't want people to get left behind as this happens, because if 40% of this workforce becomes irrelevant, millions and millions of people, your only option is universal basic income. There has been AI tech leaders out there that have, and this scares me to death to hear this. We have to redefine what purpose and productivity is for humans. That's scary.
They're waving a flag in your face, and you just choose to ignore it because. And then look, I see, but I would add two groups of people to the people that you named, and two groups of people. Number one, you're not in that tippy top. AI is great. I am in service to my robot overlords. Okay, the fact that you're having this conversation and will entertain this conversation belies that. So you're not the David Layton or any number of people that think there's absolutely nothing wrong and we need to plow forward. You at least address some of the concerns, and acknowledge some of the concerns that those people that think that this is apocalyptic. I do the Wayne Altman Doomsday Minute. So you know where I stand on that. I'm at somewhere in the middle as well. Do I think that we can develop tools that will help us sift through what we already know, what we may already know? Yes, I absolutely do. That's how you get to rockets that land back in the gantry, back in the freaking gantry, landing rockets. Okay? You don't think I got a chubby watching that happen? You got to be kidding me, brother. When I see 6 rockets landing on rafts in the middle of the ocean, you think I'm against that? Nobody. I couldn't have yelled louder. My wife scared the crap out of my wife when that happened. So I'm not allowing myself to be painted like some, doomsday. Yes, this is what's going to end humanity.
Man, I'm expecting you to go next time you get sick to put some leeches on you.
Well, I will tell you this. I don't believe that ivermectin, a 60-year-old medication, I don't believe ivermectin is horse dewormer. And the reason that we were able to convince 2/3 of the population that they should not use a 60-year-old medication was because of your precious algorithms and being able to stifle that conversation off of Facebook, a social app, for fuck's sake. I mean, give me a break, dude. Every single one of us has a crazy Uncle Ned. I am used to a civilization, living in a civilization where, freedom of thought aroused. One of the reasons that China is so far, you mentioned this, but one of the reasons that China is trying to get so far ahead of the United States is because of the control of thought it can place on its citizens. So no one is doing this in secret for you. I have a feeling that one day you and I both are going to be sitting in a mud hole going, shit, what happened? And I'm going to look at you, Harrison, and go, I told you. I told you this was going to happen.
Here's my prediction. Here's the timeline, roughly. We're going to see a bloodbath. as AI, especially if we do hit AGI, happens, because it's that hockey stick. And we know a huge chunk of the population, they're going to be so far behind, they're not going to be able to keep up. These are the people out of the workforce, right? After we get through that bloodbath, we're going to have the golden age of AI. This is when AGI hits, superintelligence hits. I think they won't be able to hide it anymore. I think we've already cured cancer myself, but I think we're going to have more cures for disease. We're going to be able to live longer, healthier than what we are. I think we're going to solve a lot of the bigger problems that we have that we've been unable to solve, right? Golden age. Then 3, 4, 5, 6 generations down the road, that's when it gets ugly. That's when it gets apocalyptic. That's when it gets one world government control. Because look, where we're at right now is you've heard of the trolley problem, right?
Yep.
You're on the track. You're at the Y of the track. You got to go right or left. To one side is your wife, your kid. The other side is a group of 50 people, and maybe they're all scientists that have the cure for cancer and they're on their way to go drop it off. What do you do? What do you do? There's no right or wrong answer here, right? Now let's put AI into solving that. They're going to optimize what's best. This is why humans always have to control the intent. AI every single time will run over your wife and kid, because the optimization, what's best for humanity, is to do that. But you and I both know we're plowing through the group of people as people who love our wife and our kids. But this is the exact scenario that we're entering right now with AI as we
But
move
I would argue that the only reason, because humans created these algorithms, and the only reason that AI would choose to plow over my wife and children is because human beings programmed it to value the 50 over the personal. And that, again, is part of the problem.
But that's optimization. I mean,
No,
that's not a programming, that's math.
no. There were people who had to teach that algorithm. These are, you weight this over this. It gave it its morality. You've
Nobody's
allowed
teaching that.
human
It's math.
beings.
There's
No,
no morality in AI. There's no, that decision would be made
that's a
technically
huge mistake to
by
believe.
math.
I'm sorry. That is a massive mistake to make.
Nobody's
Because
going, always run over the family. Sam Altman's not sitting there going, always run over the family.
huge,
That's
you're
not
making a
happening.
massive mistake there. Because we have done throughout history, we have weighted one tribe over another, our tribe over another. We have had prejudices, and we built it. We bake those things into pretty much everything that we do.
This is why a human always has to be there to make the final decision, right?
Again,
Cuban
th-
Missile
th-
Crisis,
those are
Cold War.
programmed by human beings, and they are given their parameters by the prejudices of whoever programmed them.
But everything is like, there's no, every
Nope.
bias you're bringing to me, there's no way out of those bias. It's a
I
human
totally
thing.
agree with. Okay, we've reached some agreement here. You're right, because there's no outside influence that's not human.
I
You're
mean,
right.
I'm not shutting my computer down because of things that are out of my control. That's a human element. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you asked AI to optimize climate change, it would eventually get to the point of, you know what the problem is? Humans. I need to optimize them off the planet.
Only if it's programmed to do that. That's my point. If you weight these things through the perception that humans are the problem, that's what you're going to get. Garbage in will result in
So you don't
garbage out.
believe AI will ever program itself?
No, no,
I
not,
absolutely do.
no, no. Here's what is going to happen. You're going to relax the parameters of what programming itself means. That's what you're going to do, much like you've done in this argument. What human intelligence, or what intelligence means. You will relax it and say, well, it actually did program itself, but AI will come up with nothing new under the sun. It will always require human input for any deviation of what was there to begin with. So whatever you program it to do, in order to get it to do something else, it will need to be reprogrammed by humans to do that thing. It will not ever, ever come up with something, new bit of information, new discovery, what have you. And that's at the core of this problem.
Hmm. Yeah, and the car is never going to replace the horse.
Oh, we'll have new inventions. It will have new inventions, but just like
But
with
everything
music,
you're giving me is not a technology problem, it's a human problem. I can't solve that problem.
which is why I was convinced that I would win this argument, because I
But I
am
don't think you
based.
have. Because
Uh,
you have a technology that we cannot put our head in the sand around. We have to use it. We
I
have
don't
to
think
use
we
it to our
do.
benefit.
No, no, no. I don't think we do. I think that we, as a society, especially in the US, we can allow other people to go down roads that we ourselves are not going to go down. We 100% can do
Going
that.
too fast, man.
Again, they can go as fast as they want to into that brick wall. I don't think we have to join them. I think we could remove ourselves from that equation. We could easily do that. And we can let them see what the end result is on their own. It's the old, if your friends jump off that bridge, are you going to join them? Your mom
Let's just
asked you
say
that question a million times, Harrison.
I am much more optimistic about my future right now than I am yours.
Well, one look at me will tell you that there's not a
Although,
whole lot to be optimistic about. But
although
that
you do know my goal is to do this for 10 years and retire my 100 acres fully off grid, right? Because things are going to get
100%, and
weird.
best of luck to you. Okay.
Things are going
I
to
am,
get weird.
it is not, and again, none of this, but by the way, I kind of, you said it a couple times. I don't. Um, I can go step for step with anyone on this subject. Wayne Altman does not have his head in the sand at all about any of this.
I'm going to put you on the universal basic income list.
Not happening. I will always be able to outwit. I'm John Henry. Okay, you can have that little steam hammer all you want, but John Henry will outthink, outmaneuver, pace whatever you throw at him. And I'm not saying. By the way, Harrison, I own a company called AI Tools Essential. It provides people with hundreds of artificial intelligence tools. How do you think I know what I know? I provide hundreds of these tools to businesses who are looking to do logistics better, that are looking to write better, or create business plans better, or to catalog things better, okay, quicker. There are tools out there that will absolutely allow you to do that, but they are not intelligent. They
Yet.
are only as good.
Correct.
Okay.
They are not intelligent yet.
So when they are, you can win this argument. But until they are, you've lost the argument,
No,
because
because I've never said that it's we're not at AGI yet. So I've never had that position.
the subject of this debate is whether or not artificial intelligence is a hoax. You may discover Bigfoot, but you don't have Bigfoot yet. You just said that. We're
Yeah, we're
not at
not at
AGI.
AGI yet.
Right.
We have an
We're not.
amazing technology that's working really hard to make us produce 4 times as fast in half the time. That's where we're
We
at.
100% agree with that.
And I don't
Again,
think anybody, again, I've spoke to 1,200 people last year, 300 at a conference. Nobody there thinks AI is thinking. Nobody thinks that.
I'm going to send you clips from even Joe Rogan podcast where you had somebody that came on and said, we've already had AI try to escape. We've
I
already,
know the story you're talking about. And
okay,
again, those are stories that are behind closed doors, that are in labs, or and maybe they do have it. I don't know. But
I
the
was going to
AI
make that
that we
point,
work with out here in the real world, nobody thinks that that's thinking yet. Now,
which
could they have reached AGI at OpenAI? Maybe. There's a lot of rumors there. We just had our first quantum computer scenario, what, two months ago now? So that's going to add a whole nother layer to it. Can we achieve AGI without fixing the energy problem, right? We're either going to have to figure out a way to create computers that work on less power, or we're going to have to go nuclear somewhere or create a new energy source of some sort. So there's a lot of challenges to get to AGI. But again, in my experience, all the data that I've taken in, nobody feels sold that AI is thinking for them.
Again, we wouldn't be having this conversation if I didn't feel like the general population of the planet feels like or has been sold this artificial intelligence is here. You even said we're thinking about universal basic income. There'd be no reason to think about that if all of these jobs weren't going to be
But we don't
gone
need
like
AGI
vapor.
for that. We just need the AI currently working to do all the tasks for us. So OpenAI ChatGPT just yesterday released tasks. So now I can just assign it a task. I can say every morning, scrape the AI news on the web and throw it in my ChatGPT project folder. Boom. Every morning, 7 o'clock a.m., I'm going to have all of that, just like a Google alert would. Here's what's going to happen in the future. You're walking your dog. You're on the beach, right? You're in California. So you're walking the dog. The wife calls you up in your little glasses and it comes up. Little text comes up, says the toilet is clogged. I can't fix it. You're walking the dog. You're trying to have a good day. Well, your AI agent is gonna hear that, see that. AI agent is gonna go out, get 3 quotes for plumbers, schedule that plumber. That plumber's gonna come out and fix it. It's gonna tell you it's all taken care of. Here's the price, approve it, and you're gonna keep walking your dog.
I
That's what AI
operate.
agents are gonna do.
I
And no
operate
thought
four.
went there.
Yeah,
No thinking happened.
I operate 4 stores that when someone goes to the chat on those stores and asks about a product, I have a chat bot that answers those questions for me, so I don't have to, answer those things. Directs them, not only does that, but directs them to other products in that store, and tries to upsell them. Now, it's increased sales on 2 of my stores over 40%. Does not mean that, again, you're right, there is no thought, there is no artificial intelligence. It's mainly a chat bot that allows the information that's being put in there, it sends back
But
the
it'll get
information.
better and better because as it goes away from a bot and starts to become an agent, it'll start filtering things. What kind of psychology can I use? What word can I use? Oh, he's a direct shooter. So let me use this kind of language. Oh, they're kind of intimidated. Let me use this kind of language. It's going to pull all that in and really, and that's not thinking. That's just pulling in information to optimize the job that the AI agent is doing. And the other users probably not even going to realize it's an AI agent. It's going to think it's a human
Well,
answering those
right
questions.
now, the people that are coming into my store, most of the time, they will ask if it's real, if it's a real person. If not, they alert me, and I start, answering the question if that's what they want. But look, you're basically making my argument for me, and that someone is curating the information that is coming to you. So when
Yeah,
you scrape.
to program that bot, you had to put the product knowledge into that bot in order for it to answer those questions.
And if
Yes.
there were a better product, we can exclude that from our algorithm and you won't be made aware of it. Or if there's other sources of news about what happened during this tragedy or that political event, we can exclude that and you will be left with only, that's where hypersuasion comes in. You will be given only the information that we, the owners of this, want you to have. All right, look, I'm going to let you have the last word because we need to get this stuffing here up. I got some groceries that need to be brought in. I don't know if you
Look,
heard all that.
I think that the crux of it is we do agree that AI right now does not think. The goal is for it to think. AGI, superintelligence, quantum computing, all that's coming down the line. My position is you have to learn about it. You have to bring a human centered approach. I say this all the time. AI can bring you all the knowledge in the world, but it's wisdom that you I bring to the table. As a marketing professional of 20 years, I bring that wisdom to AI. So I know the right questions to ask, the right frameworks to put in to get the results, to make sure it's not garbage in, garbage out. The people that are garbage in, garbage out are the one, write me a Facebook post. Then you get 9 emojis and unlock the secret of and all that nonsense, right? I'm going to
Right.
go in there and I'm going to say, look, let's use some Seth Godin techniques. Let's think like the CEO or the CMO of Gucci and what kind of language they would use if my client is selling a luxury product. So if you're bringing all that wisdom to the table and you're using the right frameworks, prompt IQ is what I invented, you're going to get a very quality result out of that. If you're not doing this, you're going to get replaced, because why would I pay a bunch of marketing professionals under me for a job that I can do with 10 AI agents? Right? We're seeing it with customer service. Why would I pay somebody 60 grand a year to sit there and answer the phone when I can build an AI agent for 2,000 bucks? It's going to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, be able to handle multiple calls at once. It doesn't need a sick day. It doesn't need insurance. There's no drama. There's nothing. It just works. That's why I need people to understand how important it is to stay abreast of what's going on, to work on your emotional intelligence, to work on your critical thinking skills, which is, it hasn't been high for our society now for over a decade. Ask better questions, bring your wisdom to the table. Doesn't matter which platform you're using. If you do that, bring that human-centered approach, you're going to succeed. You're
Well,
going to
I
stay
will say
viable in the
this.
job market.
I will say this. If one thing that I am convinced of, if we ever needed a AI czar, you'd be the perfect candidate. I would actually trust you to do all of these things if I trusted anybody, which I don't. But anyway, look, we're going to wrap this up.
Let's
There's
do
a
it.
part two. We're going to do this again. I don't know about you, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I definitely think that the people that are listening to this, need to chime in down below. We're posting this on the Straight Talk Commerce channel. If you want a copy, you can most certainly do that. I want to thank you personally for even having this discussion. Hopefully, it will invite others to have similar discussions. You and I not only are good friends, but we know something about the subject that we're talking about, and I think we need more of that. So, I again, thanks a bunch, Harrison, for having this discussion with me.
And I think this is where we agree. We need to drive its intent, because if we don't, it's going to drive us. That's where the
100%. I'm
manipulation
not
comes
laying
in.
there for this. I'm not laying around. Everybody that knows me knows I'm not just going to sit around and wait for this to happen to me. I'm going to have some say in it. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Yeah, later, buddy.